got some sponges from a YouTube friend today that I used. The sponges that I have that I got from China before he gave me some. They were I don't know. It's a larger, what do they call those, larger sponge, or it's not, it's more of it's a rougher sponge. It's not as fine, the holes are not as small. So the sponge that he got me is the holes are a lot finer, a lot smaller, and so what that does is it makes it so that whenever I use the sponge to do the exercises, then it is less hard or less dry or less difficult on my hands. Um, the sponges that I got from China, they were fine. They didn't cause any numbing of the hands, particularly the palm area, right in between the thumb and the meat of the palm. There's like a little 7, I guess. Well, it's a 7 to me. Um, that I cut the circulation off, the nerve circulation off there, and it starts to make my hands pretty numb. So anyway, with these ones, I try to just sit in the bed and then lean back against the wall, and I increased the weight just a couple pounds, just to see if I could still do the exercise, the amount of repetitions and the amount of sets that I desired. And I didn't know if I could, but what I did at the end was I started to, instead of having my shoulders, the backs of my shoulders against the wall, I just had my head, so I would kind of pop out my chest, kind of push out my chest, so my back wasn't really touching the wall at all behind me. It was mostly my head that was touching the wall, and that way it gave me a little bit more. I guess it's kind of cheating, because it gave me a little bit more push. It almost gives me a little bit more of a press whenever I'm a bench press whenever I'm just lying flat on just where I'm lying flat on the bed or flat on the bench. But it still worked out the front of my deltoids, or the front of my shoulders, pretty good. And actually during the final sets and the final reps, then I started to I started to break out a little bit of a sweat. So I turned that fan on for the last couple sets, and that way, I wasn't breaking out too much in the sweat. But then I had a little bit of water afterwards, and the sponges were really, really helpful. I'm really appreciative of my YouTube friend sending me a couple sponges, and hopefully they will be good, because he was saying that once you break them in quite a bit, then they will start to mold to the shape of your hands and start to mold to the shape of the bar. And that way maybe I won't have to use a rubber band to hold these sponges onto the EZcurl bar whenever I'm doing wide grip pull downs using my exercise machine. Pull downs, wide grip, anything wide grip chest rows, things like that, whenever I'm on the weight machine. Hopefully I won't have to use use the uh, rubber bands to hold the sponges on after a little while. Probably the first week or so, they probably still needs to have the rubber bands still need to be used. But then after a little while, then maybe the rubber bands are not so important, and the sponges will just kind of hold themselves and stay on the EZcurl bar.